people are in fear, fearing for their lives and their loved ones, for the plague has spread throughout their town. They begin to completely lose hope as they see what the plague has done. A few are upset and think where the cause could have come from.
Brought upon us by the ships that carried our cargo from the foreign seas of those Chinese.
Those filthy creatures, scurrying around my house and the streets. I reckon they carry those nasty fleas too.
I'm living in constant fear, for I'm not sure if I will live tomorrow or the next. I'm awaiting my turn. What did we do to deserve this?
I happened to see a patient in a nearby home. He had those lumps around his armpit.
They're going to develop into black spots. The man's done for. He won't last 3 days.
But if he's a lucky soul, maybe at least 4.
The townspeople gather again, discussing about the consequences that the plague might burden them with. Their lives are more and more occupied by hauling their fellow neighbors into large pits to be buried. Sooner or later, they would be the victims.
Today, my neighbor could be heard screaming in pain. I assume that'll be the last of him. Poor soul. Soon I'll carry him to the church.
It has ravaged Europe for years now and put our development to a halt. I assume at this rate it will continue for many more centuries. It has already wiped out 30% of Europe's population.
There are less people to tend to the fields, and the farmers are getting tired. They prefer to take care of the sheep, for they require the least amount of labor.
Aha! I heard that those lords need more paid workers to tend to their lands. I will no longer work for a lord.
We can't even buy the staples for our diet like bread. Not only will this plague kill us, I believe it will lead to inflation. My poor family can't even afford the simplest of meals.
I'm starting to lose faith in our church. Can they really save us?
The plague continued to wipe out up to 40% of Europe's population. However, it wasn't limited to just Europe. Another outbreak in China killed 35 million people, which also caused a great population decline. It is now the late 18th century and the plague has died down. There have been several cases of it, but isn't as devastating as the 13th century. A young creative writer by the name of William Hemsworth is writing a fictional novel based on the plague that devastated the country. As he sits by his desk, he ponders about how to make it more original.
The Black Death. Such a terrible time in history. I want to create a fear that will strike into the hearts of people. If instead of being spread from China, what if it were from the African people? Our trade is prospering there, I suppose. I would like to keep it a virus and on the skin like the Black Death, to be more visual. What if, instead of the internal bleeding, it would seep through their skin? What a horrific sight. I would call this horrid plague Ebola.
In the process of writing his book, he looks around the library for old books about the Black Death.
Ah, perfect. The Black Death by Giovanni Boccaccio from 1348. This would be a perfect inspiration for my book.
William publishes his book, The Terrors of Ebola, a fictional story, in 1900, but unbeknownst to him that in the future his book would become nonfiction.
I heard about a new disease from Central Africa from the CDC that has already infected multiple people and is spreading at a rapid pace.
Really? I heard about an author named William Hemsworth who wrote a book about Ebola, and it sounds really similar to the Black Death, don't you?
I sure hope not. Have you guys heard the symptoms of Ebola? Kind of reminds me of the Black Death.
Oh no, I don't want to relive the Black Death. There has to be a way we can prevent this Ebola virus.
Everybody calm down. This is the 20th century and we have way better technology than back then. Back then they believed that the Black Plague was a punishment for their sins.
It is now September 30th, 2014, and the American citizens are gathered only to discover there is a new disease spreading, and it sounds just like the fictional disease described by William Hemsworth. Little do they know that the new disease is Ebola. After finding out that many people have died from this new virus, so-called Ebola, the citizens want to know the causes to avoid it. After long hours of studying the virus with her medical team, a doctor believes she may have found causes and how to prevent it.
Everybody listen up. By studying this stubborn virus, I think I may have found some answers.
What caused it?
The first sightings were from Central Africa, and as it spread from an animal to a human, humans spread it to humans. Avoid contact with bats and primates because they're the known affected ones. The Fila verde from the genus Ebola virus is where specifically Ebola comes from.
Many other citizens are in desperate need of treatment. The number of people traveling in and out of the U.S. is always crazy, and the chances of Ebola coming in are increasing.
Yes, that is true. However, with the technological advancements we have, the virus is way easier to detect than the Black Death, which will help to make sure it isn't spreading at a rapid pace. The causes are from fluid contamination from two people, so avoid sharing needles and such. It then spreads through the bloodstream.
Since the disease spreads through the blood, does that make the treatments more difficult?
Yes and no. Treatments can be as simple as getting an IV or getting a breathing machine to help your flow of oxygen. If the case of Ebola is more complex, the treatment could be as difficult as a blood transfusion to remove the virus from your bloodstream.
Are there any other ways we can prevent it?
Poor management and supervision on a community can cause the virus to spread quicker. For example, in West Africa, many villages were overcrowded, and many people tended to not visit for medical checkups. Do not share drinks, needles, and refrain from crowded areas, because even sweat can cause the spread.
Now that we know all these different treatment and prevention options, what do we do?
I report more to the research center and let them know what I have discovered about the virus. Maybe it can help.
The doctor reports about her Ebola findings to the World Health Organization so that they can help the local community, and she then comes back to the town to further lecture about the consequences of Ebola if you don't follow the prevention methods.
Ebola has already killed around 4,000 people in West Africa and has affected around 10,000 people. If you don't be careful, then the consequences will be first headaches and or muscle and throat pain. Then, as you all know, vomiting and bleeding excessively.
Just because there's no cure doesn't mean it's fatal, right?
The chances of death are quite high, around 50%, because it affects people so quickly and silently. The outbreak itself was quite sudden, and even if it has died out, we must still be careful and notify the other countries.
So, what are the other further consequences of Ebola? Are there any positive points?
In fact, there is. The production of drugs is far quicker, along with more development in our experiments in medical technology.